With no kneading and no proofing the yeast, I have been making the most amazing Italian flatbread. Everywhere I've brought this bread, people have asked me for the recipe, so I'm gonna share it with you today. And I also wanna show you a great little floral centerpiece that I made with just some odds and ends that I found around my house. I got the recipe from a wonderful Italian lady who lives in Italy. The recipe is so incredibly easy. It is the easiest bread I have made to date. And the great thing about this bread is it's kind of like a combination between a focaccia and a pizza, but it is absolutely 100% delicious. I think I've made this about 10 times in the last few weeks because it's just that good. So this is just 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and then just give all the dry ingredients a good stir. Then add 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 1 cup of warm milk. And that's all there is to it. And now the fun part is just getting in there with your hands or a wooden spoon and mixing everything together. Now we're not having to knead anything or proof the yeast, we're just mixing everything up until it forms a soft dough. It should probably only take about 20 or 30 seconds. It'll feel a little sticky and tacky, and that is just perfect. Now we cover it up with a tea towel and let it rest for about an hour. After an hour, we see that it's risen nicely, and now we can take out a baking sheet that's been lined with parchment, and we'll brush a little olive oil on the parchment paper. Now we take our dough out of the bowl and pat it into the baking pan. Cover it with some plastic wrap or a kitchen towel and let it rest for another 20 minutes. While the dough is napping, I'm going to prepare a topping for it with some olive oil and a couple cloves of chopped garlic and a little bit of oregano too. A quick mix, and we're going to spread it onto the dough. Now you can bake it up just like this if you want, but today I'm going to add some chopped olives, some capers, and some fresh mozzarella cheese just because I had some in the fridge. Bake it at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. Here's another one I made that's about to go in the oven, and this one has olive oil, some sun-dried tomato chopped up, and some pepperoncino and parmesan cheese. Here's what the second one looks like with the sun-dried tomato and pepperoncino, and if we open it up inside, you can see how beautiful and spongy this dough is. It's nice and soft on the inside. This is so good. It's soft and spongy on the inside. It's got this beautiful, crunchy, golden brown crust on the bottom. No kneading, no proofing the yeast, and you get an incredible flatbread like this. Yes, please. The topping combinations with this are endless. You can do olives and capers like I did, or you can just put a bit of olive oil, some garlic and rosemary, parmesan cheese. All of those would be absolutely wonderful. It's totally up to you what you want to put on it, and it'll be delicious. I've come into the backyard now to see if I can spot Peppina, and if you don't know who Peppina is, she is a squirrel that's been hanging around our backyard lately, and she and I have become friends, so I'm sure that if I'm here for a couple of minutes, she'll probably turn up. And here she is.
Are you coming to see me? Are you coming to see me? Hi, good girl.
She and I have been getting along so well, and I'm happy to have her as a garden guest for as long as she'd like to stay. I also want to share with you a really simple and beautiful floral arrangement that I made with just some things that I had in my cupboard. And you probably have similar things sitting in your cupboards as well. And it looks absolutely spectacular, and it's so easy to make. Now you can make this with some things that you probably have in your house already, and I've just got one of these sort of roundish shaped vases, but you can use any shape you want. It just needs to be big enough to be able to put another container inside of it. So here I have a tall, skinny water glass that I'm going to put right inside the vase. Now I'm just going to take some pebbles that I have in this jar, and I'm going to put it all the way around the base of the water glass. And now I have some pretty greenery that I just cut from different plants around my yard. So I have a few flowers and some leaves. And now we're going to arrange the greenery and put it inside. And the greenery is going to go in between the glass and the edge of the vase on the outside. So we still have the water glass full of water still in the middle right here. So now we have our greenery all arranged. I'm just going to take some water and pour it into the vase. And to that, we're just going to take one of these little tea lights and put it right in the center of the drinking glass. And these little tea lights will actually float. Look at how beautiful this looks with just a few odds and ends that I already had and some plants from my garden. It turned into a really nice centerpiece. I'm also spending a little bit of time in the garden today because sadly a few months ago we lost one of our trees and it had to get cut down, and it was a plum tree and it was there since 1965. So we were very sad to lose it. But now we have this space that needs to be occupied with something. So my husband and I went to the nursery and we picked out a really nice rhododendron, and we're going to put that in that spot. So now I need to get digging. Now I've got the hole all dug up, and I'll see if I can lift it to get it in there because it's pretty heavy. So according to the tag, this one has pink flowers and it's going to get about 8 to 12 feet tall. So it just needs to get a lot bigger. When I find something I love, I like to share it with you as well. I'm not sponsored by the company or anything. These are products that I bought myself and I just really love using. Since I've been spending a lot of time in the garden digging and preparing the soil for planting, I've been dragging around bags of heavy mulch and weeding, and sometimes that results in stiff and sore muscles for me. So what I did was I got a couple of different massage pillows, and these have been so fantastic in reducing the muscle tension and the soreness. And the only regret I have is that I didn't buy these sooner, because these are the next best thing to a real manual massage. Now this first one I'm going to show you works really well for your back, really good for your lower back or your waist. You can even use it on hamstrings or your calves if they're tight. It gives a fabulous relaxing massage. There's an adjustable elastic strap on the back that you can put it on the back of a chair. I got one of these for my mom and she loves it and uses it regularly. Now I ended up getting a second pillow massager that was specifically for the neck and shoulder area. And I tried using that first one that I showed you for this area, but it wasn't quite targeted enough, but it works really well for the back and hamstrings and waist and everywhere else. So this second one is specifically for neck and shoulders. So like most people, I tend to store my tension in the neck and shoulders. And especially if you work long hours in front of a computer or at a desk, that area can get really tight. So how I use the neck massager is I just put it down onto the pillow of my bed, and then you just cradle your neck and your head right in the center area here. And then it comes with a remote. So you just turn it on and you start getting a massage. And then it has some other adjustments. You can change the direction, you can change the speed. And I'll use this about maybe 10 or 15 minutes before I head off to bed, and it just helps me drift right off to sleep. And let me tell you, this does such a great job of getting rid of all those stiff and tight spots in that area, and it is so incredibly relaxing. And speaking of gardening, I have a few things growing in my greenhouse that I'll show you that'll be able to start start planting in a couple of weeks when it gets a little warmer. So over here I have some tomato plants that my Italian mama started for me, and these types are pomodorini or cherry tomatoes, and I love these with salad, or we just saute them up and have them as a quick sauce with pasta with garlic and olive oil, and they are so delicious. Then I have some zucchini over here, and I have a bunch of bush beans and over here as well. And if I push the dirt back a little bit, there's another little baby that's starting that'll probably poke his head up by tomorrow. Last year, I think I planted about 10 or 12 bush bean plants, and this year I think I'm going to increase it to 18, just because they're good little producers. I was so impressed with the yield I got for the size of plant they were. And given that my garden space isn't very big, I like to have things that don't take up a lot of real estate but still produce prolifically, and these bush beans are amazing for that. I want to thank you so much for spending a bit of your day with me as we made some homemade bread and a nice floral centerpiece and spent some time in the garden. I sure do appreciate you spending a bit of your time with me. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you in the next one.